Take two. This is our take two of trying to do this. Let's try again. Try Collette first this time. Oh, there you are. There you are.
Yay!
So sorry, guys. I forgot to disconnect from my headset. So
Oh.
I could see you, but I couldn't hear you. Okay, we're all good now.
Okay, good. I was telling Brita, I was like, I had this written down as the 12th, and I'm like, that's not right. It's got to be the 11th. And I went to look through the email. I'm like, why can't I find any email about this? Like, not one. And I'm like, gosh, reality hopping. I couldn't find, even in my sent file, I couldn't find anything. I got so mad about it. I was like, whatever. I'm just going to come on. And if nobody's here, I'll just be alone. I don't care. I'll do something on my own. All right. I have a couple of things. If you guys want to bring anything forth, we can. Do you want me to start? I can start. It's up to you.
Oh, I'm good. Whatever you want to do. I'm just feeling the squeeze right now. You know, I'm feeling squeezed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I'm ping-ponging from feeling that to being expanded, and then I'm purging. I'm all over the place. But it's all good. It's all good. You know, I feel like we come to a process in this journey where we're expanded, we're contracting, we're expanding, we're contracting, but it doesn't seem as bad right now. I can remember this time last year, I was really going through it.
Yeah.
So it seems a little easier. I don't know. 10 minutes from now, I may be in the bathroom. I don't know. So.
It was funny for me. I actually decided to re-listen and I'm kind of re-listening and rereading to Wayne Dyer's book, Excuses Be Gone, because that book, I mean, both the audio and the book, like, you know, I was actually cleaning my room and I was listening to the audio book, and I just was like, it was kind of, I was just like, wow, it's like another layer of ahas with, you know, these little excuses that I just kind of, you know, just been playing out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's just been a big excuse. Wow. But I'm cleaning, so it's like I'm moving the energy too and having these ahas. And so yeah, yesterday it felt like a big kind of, you know, day of just seeing more clearly.
It's funny because one of the things I wrote down, and you guys have both kind of touched on it in a different way, was, you know, I always thought that all the leaves fell off the trees every year in the fall. Like, they're all gone, right? But when I go in outside and look at the trees, there's a lot of dead leaves on the trees. And I'm like, wow, I really thought they all, even though I'd raked them 100 times and they kept falling, I thought at the end of, I mean, we're in spring here. You know, well, we'll be in spring in like a week or two, but everything's going to be blooming. And I was like, well, I guess these are not going to go until the new push them off. You know, the new buds are going to push off the old. So it kind of just got me thinking about all the things, because for me, I'll get my templates for the next linear year in around probably August, June. I mean, that's when you start to feel what has to go. You know, I have to clear out for the rest of the year, for the rest of the year I'm in, to get ready for the next year. And then I start getting an idea of what 2020, like in this case, what 2025 was going to be like, but I might not actually start doing it, like you said, like boots on the ground, doing work until I'm firmly in 2025, like maybe April, before I really started, whatever it was. I might have planned it, but not started it. So it kind of got me to think of all and the way you guys kind of described it. And Collette, you said the squeeze, like you kind of feel like it's the squeeze. And Brita, you said it was like excuses, you know, and that's kind of what I keep seeing those leaves as. It's just like all this stuff we're kind of still carrying that is got to go before the new can really start to. Sorry, the cat hit the right next to the camera pod. So maybe we can kind of go, we can expand on that a little bit, because I think that's kind of a fascinating, it was kind of a fascinating thing for me, because I just never really looked at the trees to that extent to see that there's so many leaves still on them, and quite a bit, really. At least 10 to 15% of the leaves are still hanging onto the trees. So I'll let, do you want to start with that one, Collette, and
Sure,
go with that one for a while?
Yeah, as far as the trees, I did notice that too, Annette. I noticed that too, that even all the way up till right the very beginning of May, the trees are still letting off, the last remnants of, the fall the year before. Um, and I feel like that, you know, kind of ties into what I'm going through too. I feel that, you call it boots on the ground. I feel like that's where I am. I feel like all the expansion, the contraction, the squeeze, it's all clearing out, clearing everything out. And it's time, I call it go time, it's actually go time. Right, Brita? It's time to start getting out there and opening up to more service roles this time of year. And I really don't know what that is right now. And, I'm not putting any pressure on myself to what it looks like, but really feeling that, I feel it. It's definitely boots on the ground time.
Yeah.
And I also notice in my reality, my surroundings, like more people. It's amazing. People are reaching out to me like that I never would have thought, like asking me questions all of a sudden. And just yesterday, somebody reached out to me, and I haven't heard from this guy for a long, long time. He went through like what we call dark night of the soul,
Mm-hmm.
and he was drinking heavily, and he reached out to me, and he's in a whole new it's just so exciting to me when you see that people in your immediate reality are now awakening and going through this. And just to share quickly, this morning I got up and I'm sitting having my coffee, and my daughter comes down the stairs on her way to work, before she leaves every morning. And so I just started having a conversation with her about ascension, and it was like amazing, And I said to her, I just want to give you one tool a day, to help you. And, I just gave her the tool about catching your thoughts. I said to her, if you could just catch your thoughts at least once a day, and stop yourself for a moment and say, what was I just thinking about? Or what was I just thinking about for the past 2 hours, So when she left, I was just so expanded because, to be able to share with her. I mean, she knows, she's open to it. She's been living with me, of course, but it was just wonderful to be able to share with her, and just feel like more people are opening up to it now, and I mean, it is a collective awakening, but it's getting closer to me, to my reality. I always felt alone in it, so that's what. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I love that. That's amazing.
yeah, yeah.
I feel like one of the big things for me right now is, and I feel like we've talked about this some, is really prioritizing time for, time to fill myself up, and,
Yeah.
to have, to have the light and the energy to serve others, serve the people in the household, and, and other people in our realities. And I recently actually just booked like just a day long yoga retreat. It's just for a day. It's like a center that has, you could, stay overnight and such, but it's actually just, they have these day passes. And so it's like right around the equinox. And, there had been a program with spending the money to do that because maybe there wouldn't be enough for and bills. And I mean, just, just even seeing that it's like, it's a requirement for my soul to go to this place and have this day to fill myself up and be on the land and do a yoga class and have a couple of delicious organic meals. And, so just really prioritizing those things. That I would love to be able to do those kinds of things and really be, more in flow and not have to plan it. But, in my current reality, it needs to be, set. It's 2 weeks from now. And just finding more things like that, more hikes, more walks, but just really, really prioritizing that because, yeah, it's definitely seeing some of the 3D timelines, some things that are getting more intense and in ways, things are getting more beautiful too, but just kind of, really, really knowing it's prioritizing that as we know we need to do that for our light bodies. So, and I've set the intention to kind of like create something like that every month, at least, like an if it's a day-long outing or an overnight or something like that, to really, it's like what you did, Collette, right? You just went on an adventure.
Yay, Brita! Yay for that. That's awesome. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, last time before we signed off, you said you were going, Collette. I know you talked about it on another call, but maybe you could tell people here how it went when you went on your, was it like 3 days, your retreat?
Yeah.
Your self-made retreat.
Yes.
It was awesome. It was just amazing. But the funny thing was, I'll share with you guys, the whole reason for me going away was to be alone. I wanted to be alone and be in my own field and be able to expand and switch off. The first day I got there, I felt so uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable being alone. Okay. So I had to, work my way through that. But once I did that, oh my God, it was beautiful. I sat on the beach. It was windy there. It was just, everything about the trip was awesome. I just integrated it a lot. I was totally relaxed. It was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. I just got to be alone. It was wonderful. Yeah, I really, really, and now that I know I can do that, I did it the first time. I'll plan something like that every year, once a year. My for my soul growth. That was definitely a soul calling. And I'm glad I listened, and I didn't, listen to the ego, making excuses, saying 25 reasons why I shouldn't go, and I did it, and it's so good that I did. Yeah, it was awesome.
And didn't you said something about like how you came back and you're like nothing fell apart.
Exactly.
Like,
the house didn't burn down.
Yeah, the house didn't burn down. Nobody broke him, Everybody was fine. It was just, yeah. So that was opened up a lot of doorways for me, It was like a big aha for me. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing to yourself? You're just shutting yourself off. It was a big excuse, hiding behind, my responsibilities here. But I could do both. I can do both soul work and still take care of what I have to at home, my responsibilities at home, So it's been wonderful, it's created a space for me to explore more and share more, Yeah, it was great. I came back refreshed, renewed, and ready to go.
Yeah, I think I do the same. you know, that both of you guys do. You know, we create so many excuses on why we can't go. You know, we have so many responsibilities here, and sometimes I'm like, it just takes me so long to get caught back up with everything, you know, when I'm gone, and it's better to not. And it was funny, something you said about being uncomfortable being alone, and I think that's a very interesting topic, because I can remember when I first was divorced years and years ago, going places alone again, and even though you're not going to be alone once you get there, because there's literally people there, but you're not going in with other people, right? You're just going by yourself. So the first couple times I had to do it, I remember sitting in the car for like an hour getting ready to go, going alone, because it's all the judgment we have of going by ourselves, and all the judgment we think other people are going to have because you're there by yourself, but no one cares. You know, here's the news flash. The news flash of life. No one gives a fuck what you're doing. Nobody cares. Everyone is so stressed out about their own life. You can have a flaming puppy over your head, and no one's going to even notice it. No one's going to see it. No one notices. Nobody cares. The human consciousness cannot care about what's going on with other people, right? It doesn't. We don't. When we're in that human consciousness, we don't even have the bandwidth to absorb anything else. We're so stuck in our own kind of stuff all the time. Yeah. But it was just, it's an interesting topic, because it does take a while to get, because we're not comfortable with ourselves. And then that's really what we have to get. It is. Once we get comfortable with ourselves, we don't care. I used to go to everywhere by myself. Anyone who knows me know everywhere I went by myself. Yeah. Everywhere I went, when I went to bars by myself, restaurants by myself, I went by myself. All the time. All the time. I went all the time, because after a while I realized I was bringing people with me because I didn't want to go alone, but that wasn't any fun because we weren't having any fun. And it was much, and you had to stay there because they wanted to stay, and you couldn't kind of do what you wanted to do. As you went by yourself, when you're ready to go, you just left. You know, you only had to find one seat wherever you were going. You didn't have to find, you know, 5 seats for 5 people. To rehash the same stuff we talked about yesterday, you know, and we're going to talk about it again. So it is a very freeing part to start going by yourself, and feeling that you can do that, and you can stop making the excuses, and really be comfortable with yourself, and being comfortable with, and you're not judging yourself, because a lot of that is just our own. You know, we just do that to ourselves. And like I said, we think everyone else is, but nobody even cares. And I think once we really kind of get through that, because I think one of the biggest things about attention is being by yourself. And even though a lot of us are in realities where we might have other people around, there are sometimes where we had nobody around. I had no one around for a long, long period of time, like decades. And then now I have more people around, and that is an adjustment. Finding that balance and being able to, like you said, I think you touched on it last time, Collette, knowing when to share, and knowing when the moment's over. Knowing when the moment's open, and knowing when the moment is over. And now I'm intruding if I keep trying to, you know, say more, you know. Now I'm kind of, and I'm going to throw out another topic. I did a video a couple days ago on feeling like people forgot about you. You know, feeling forgotten, because there's a lot of our life, at least in my ascension journey, where you won't see people go on people are on different paths, people on different ascension timelines. Some people won't even start awakening until 2030, you know, but you might have met them back in 2018, but they had so much more they were going to go do. And you kind of feel, for a while, you can feel kind of forgotten, and you don't feel like your presence really matters in their life, because you didn't see that. Our human wants to see that concrete change in them. You know, something magnificent shifted in them, and we were there for it, and we were the reason. But so many times just our presence and our energy kind of creates that. And then they might go for a long, long time. You might never see them again. You said you saw people coming back. You might never see people come back. You know, you kind of just never know which way it's going to go. But I thought maybe we could touch on that for a bit, because I think it kind of goes into, you know, you said closing yourself off, Collette, you know, how you feel like you're isolating yourself. I know I go through periods where I feel like I kind of do the same. I don't know if Britta, you also can feel like because when you're in situations where you're taking care of family, which a lot of us are in that same, all of us are kind of in that situation here on this call. You kind of feel like you really, a lot of the stuff we do, it's not, I don't want to say recognized, but it's not really valued.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not valued in the same way because it's not what, I mean, like everyone I'm with is in a very human consciousness. And that's their main program. I mean, yeah, they have other aspects, but that's not the one that runs the show. What runs the show is their main core programming is still their human programming, and that's where they are. But because we operate on sort of a different frequency, I feel like a lot of the stuff we do, we don't really get that. And so we have to find that in ourselves. And I think that's when we have to go off to a lot of these things by ourselves to kind of connect, to know that, yes, we are where we're supposed to be. So I'll let you guys kind of, Britta, do you want to run with that for a bit?
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm just noticing my battery is draining really quickly on my phone for some reason.
Okay.
So let me take care of getting it set up and charged.
Okay. Collette, you go ahead.
Yeah, I could go on with that. That was a lot. Let me just touch back on the part of not caring, right?
Yeah.
So, I was going out to dinner, Annette, by myself, and they would sit you at a really small table.
Or like a
really
big table, so it was very obvious that you were by yourself.
So I found myself in the corner of this restaurant, this little small table, and I was ordering like an enormous amount of food. I was at that point, I needed to, and the waiter was laughing at me because there wasn't enough room on the table for all the food. And I ordered. So that was just funny, and then I don't care, after that I didn't care, and I just had myself a good time, just people watching and all that. But the other side of that not caring is I found now I don't care as much about, how Lisa says, being the crazy lady, talking ascension or leading that way. That's where I've come into now. And I believe that came from that trip, me doing that, by myself. And it is so freeing. It feels so freeing to finally be in a space where I don't feel like I need to hide, this part of me anyway, this, what I'm going through. I feel like I can talk about it freely. Hey, it's real. It's happening. Everybody in the collective is going to go through it, or is going through it, I should say. So I feel like I do need to speak up more about it. And it's just, it feels good. And as far as people coming back in, yes, I did mention that. I remember years ago, it has to be more than 5 years ago, having a conversation. This was at the time my best friend's husband. They've since divorced. But I remember having a conversation with him about, we used to call it spiritual, spiritual.
Yeah.
Spiritual awakening. That's what we used to call it. Briefly, I remember that. And then, they got divorced, and she told me he's drinking heavily, and he went through his thing, and he came out the other side. And my heart just, when he reached out to me yesterday, it was on one of the platforms. I don't know which one it was. He messaged me. He saw something I had posted, and we had this long conversation. And I was just so overjoyed, and he, like he's totally doing, out there, and he's sharing. And I thought that's just wonderful, so I don't feel like you say, forgotten, because I feel like you know, they're all going to go away and do their thing. Some of them may come back and some of them won't. But I feel like we've shared our codes with them, you know, and then, you know, they go off and they have to go through what they go through. And you know, they may come back or they may not, but it's just wonderful when you could see the growth of someone. I just love that, you know. I love it. And the other point I wanted to make, Annette, was this morning was that moment. You know, when we get that moment, I had that moment this morning with my daughter. And knowing, you know, I knew it was that moment because the night before she got hit with a 2x4 and I seen it and I knew it was coming and she recognized it. She recognized the program. You know, I don't want to say too much, but she said, I knew that she saw it and she saw why it happened. And I was like, yay. So then we had this whole conversation and I just feel elated about, you know, people are just, you know, I know there's a lot of crap going on out there, but it's necessary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Anything there?
Lots of gems.
I know. Go on, Brita.
It's so funny because my phone was like at like 98% when we started, and then all of a sudden like the low battery came on like a few minutes ago, and I'm like, what? So anyway, it's charging now. This is actually making me it's bringing up I actually am going to do some animal care in Los Angeles next month, and it's funny because it's like it's, you know, it's a trip going away, but it's kind of for me it's almost like more like a little more working. It's not really this R&R kind of experience for me because it's kind of working, and it's you know, it's Los Angeles where I used to live, but it's always a lot going on when I go visit, and I'll see some family. But probably be you know, be seeing some people because it's been a year since I've been there. So I'll be seeing some people that I haven't, you know, been in touch with in a while. And, you know, there's obviously the you know, the fires that happen there. There's some people that are really, you know, kind of going through some, you know, going through a lot of feelings around what happened, and their, you know, realities have shifted, and or they know people that, you know, that have been going through that. So yeah, it's people that are, you know, that have been dear or are dear to me, but we're just not in the same realities.
Yeah.
And, you know, probably don't talk, and but I feel like I'll be connecting with a few of those people, and but yeah, I also was, you know, I was thinking about some of the, you know, like when in those times maybe we don't feel very valued, or we're not.
Yeah.
You know, and I love making like the, you know, going out in nature, and, you know, we're already way into spring out here in California. It's like one of my favorite times because all the hills are green and they have a lot of flowers, and it's like I love taking the videos and making the reels on Facebook and Instagram. And it's like, you know, sometimes I can just look at like maybe somebody that enjoyed the video that is not somebody that I would see that maybe would normally look at my stuff. And I'm like, oh, I wonder if, you know, it just kind of, you just like feel like maybe that just shifted their day. You know, and I feel like maybe if I'm, you know, maybe feeling a little depleted, and it's like just knowing that, like, it's just remembering like the smallest things that we can do that can
That's awesome.
shift,
that can
shift, right? And just
Mm-hmm.
and give them that reminder, you know, get out of nature, especially we can in California here right now.
Mm-hmm.
And
Sucks to be you, Brita. Sucks to be you in California. We're so beautiful all the time.
But you know what?
It's sunny there. It's always sunny there.
come early May though, early to mid May, those hills are gonna start getting brown, and I'm gonna be like, no, please.
What is the
not
temperature
yet.
there right now?
It'll be in probably the 60s today,
No.
and but we're gonna get rain the next couple days. We're gonna get a lot of rain, so I'm super happy.
It'll be in the 70s here today, so we're gonna be warmer.
Yeah.
We're gonna be
Yeah.
Actually, I like the way you said it better than the way I said it. I had said feeling forgotten. You said not feeling valued. And I think that is a different frequency to say it. And it might depend on who you feel is on the other side of that is how you might stress it. You know, because I think it's interesting when you talk about not seeing people for a long time. I know for me, if I haven't seen people for a long time, where if I used to be places, I'd just run into people, you know, and I would just see the same people all the time because people went to the same place all the time and see the same people. But since I moved, I've made it sort of, if I don't hear from them, I don't reach out and try to bring anyone into the reality I'm in. You know what I mean? I kind of feel like if they're going to pop up in my reality one way or the other, like Collette had someone reach out on Facebook or reach out on one of social media, and then, you know, you're just going to go be back in that environment and see who comes in. You know what I mean? Those are different ways to kind of do sort of, you know, the very similar thing. I just kind of see who comes in. And if I'm in a place where there's no one really here, then I'm like, okay, it's not aligned for anyone to really be here, you know, right now. But I do want to share a funny story because Collette was saying when she went to dinner by herself, they gave her this teeny table. And I was like, or they give you this really big table to emphasize you were alone, you know, one or the other. But I can remember going to the movies, but I'd always go to movies by myself. And I'd go get it. It's one time I went to get a ticket and I was the only person in line. And the guy was like, I was like, yeah, one ticket. And he's like, one? You won. By yourself? Yes. No one with you. It was like a comedy sketch. He kept going. And I'm looking around, I was like, no one behind me in line. I'm like, yeah, I'm by myself. No one is here. I just need one ticket. I said, do you not sell them in one anymore? Or in increments of one? And he's like, no, we do. And I'm like, well, can I get one? In the beginning when I was doing it, so I know it was where my universe kind of testing my resolve and judgment on that. I'm like, good dude, just give me the ticket. Go. Stop. Make it stop. But I do really like the like I said, the way you said it, the when we don't feel valued, and a lot of that I do feel comes from, you also hit it on again. We don't feel, when we get depleted, I think these things come to the surface more.
Yes.
Things bother us more. You know, when our light quotient is down, we're really kind of running thin. We start to make more excuses. We start to not want to do something. I know there's been something I've been needing to do in the house for the last 5 or 6 days. I kept putting it on some things for a couple months now. And now I'm going to try to transition out to the yard and do some planning and seeding for the yard and stuff. But there's there is this kind of sense of just kind of trying to put stuff off, and sometimes we know when it's aligned to do it too. So there is a difference there, you know, or are you postponing it, or is it just not aligned? You know, and how do we kind of tell the difference? So I might do a video on that. I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah.
I know you take that one, Collette, and if you say anything good, I'm going to use it and I'll credit you.
I find that when I postpone things, it usually for me, I feel like it's not good. I feel like it's better to do it, you know, as it comes up, because it's been my experience that when I push things aside, it comes back more like heavier, you know, or something happens. So I try to do it, you know, in a timely manner if I can, you know, because I feel like it comes back not good, you know. Do it, just do it. Just do it, Collette. The thing about not being valued, it's funny because that came up for me a few days ago. I was thinking about all that we do, and you know, sometimes you know, as we go further into this journey, light body, you know, will tell you when it's time to lay down, and you have to listen, or, you know, you won't be able to do much. And in some situations, I feel like, you know, it's never push through unless you absolutely have to. In my case, it's okay. All of a sudden, I am totally depleted. And you know that feeling when you are depleted, you're depleted. Nothing's. So if for me, it's to get my reality to a safe place, okay? You know, my husband, get him to a safe position where he's not going to fall or hurt himself or anything. Push through that part to absolutely get him where he's okay. And then I could go down. I could go down and, you know, do whatever I have to, you know, do to recharge myself and fill myself up with more light. But I was thinking about how it's not valued what we do, you know, at home. It is in a different way because, you know, we get filled up in a sense of, you know, I could look at him and everything he's going through. He's just this little happy guy, you know, and it just fills me up that way.
Mhm.
So um, that's where I get my value from that, you know. But you know, everybody else really can't see the value in what we're doing, you know. And it came to me like it's sacred. It's sacred work that we're doing, whether we want to look at it that way or not. But that was my whole take on it, on all of that, you know. I went through that a few days ago. It's funny that it came up today, but yeah. So what else was I talking about?
it, it's interesting too because you know, I mean, as obviously your role, it's very physical with assisting your husband. But as
Right,
you said
right.
though, like for the most part, he seems to be like always pretty happy and in a good space. So
He
see, like,
never, yeah,
yeah,
never
that's
once says, "Oh, why me?" You know, when he's not feeling, you know, his body's going through something, he just gets quiet. And I know I'm able to read the,
yeah.
you know, I could read.
Hmm.
He doesn't even have to
Hmm.
speak, and I know what you know
Hmm.
what he needs, what he's going through, what he wants.
Yeah.
But the other thing I wanted to mention was I always seem to have enough light to get through to what I have to do until I, you know, until I can go down and go flat. You know, I always seem to have enough light to do that. So,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like your universe is gonna provide that, you know, for
yeah,
you because it's
yeah,
necessary, right? Like we have
yeah,
to it just like will generate, will
hmm
assist us, you know.
yeah.
But
And you know, I wanted to mention also, do you guys remember when Leopold posted about this little thing he does with Solaris? Solaris fill me up with light. I do that every day, and it really, really helps, especially when I'm that low. I just close my eyes. I try to find a sunny spot, like even in front of the window where the sun is coming in, and I do that. So, yeah, that really helps. Solaris fill me up with light. Yeah.
yeah, you know, like noticing the what other people are going through, even when they're not in the rooms. I mean, it's like you can still tell, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so it's really interesting just navigating different energies of, you know,
Yeah.
um, and just really like trying to encourage people in the household that need, you know, what kind of what can you go do to? How about going and doing this? Maybe this will, you know, assist
Mm-hmm.
with, you know, shifting, you know, your energies and, you know, however way I need to say it, but
Yeah.
Because it's like the people in the household I'm in are going through it.
Yeah.
Some,
Yeah, me too.
some emotional energies and physical things.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom recently broke a bone in her arm.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been interesting because it's a little bit of a repeat of something else that happened a couple years ago. And so it's like, oh, I get to like navigate this again. This is in my reality. I'm like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
how am I going to go through and do this differently? So it's been, and I can see some, and it's like also with things in the house and not procrastinating, and it's like knowing there's those few I don't like that word chores, but household duties
Mm-hmm.
of things that
You gotta do.
like get this done in the morning. I mean, it's not my favorite thing to do, but it's like get it done in the morning, because it's like if and the times that I've waited till the evening, I'm just like my light is slower and I have more, you know it's just like, so just watching the way the little excuses will
Yeah.
happen. It's like just get those things done that are that require a little more energy, and because I feel like if I can physically get a lot of the things done in the house earlier in the day, then it's like I know my energy is there to support people emotionally and mentally, and at least to have kind of the physical. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but yeah, it's there's a lot that requires our energy, physical, emotional, mentally, and just finding those times to fill up when we can, and
Yeah.
prioritize us, those 5 minutes we can take, right, to go outside, or to do a meditation, or a time to take a bath, or do some breathing exercises,
Mm-hmm.
and some qigong that I've been like kind of nudged to do a little bit of that.
Awesome.
So
Yeah.
So funny because I've been thinking about qigong lately too. I started swinging my arms in the morning. I'm like, whoa! I haven't moved my body in so long. That was another
oh yeah
program I had. I felt like going through Ascension. I wasn't supposed to exercise, and for a while that can be true, But,
Yeah.
but I think that was just a program I had about, I love moving my body,
yeah
dancing, just swinging my arm, doing my own thing. I'm not going to the gym, yeah, but
yeah I feel the same way. It's like the body can be, I don't know, maybe we're so kind of like working on programs, or being conscious, or
yeah,
assisting others and that kind of thing. And I'll do like the walking in the park or nature, but just as far as like sometimes like just doing movement or stretching or dancing or like the qigong,
yeah,
like that will not be an automatic for me. So I'm
yeah, no,
noticing that maybe that needs there's a 30-day qigong that I had bought a couple years ago, 30 days. And so I think I'm going to bring that in again. Just
good,
commit to 30 days to get that going.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I still go to the gym.
yeah,
I've gone for a long, I never really stopped, but I find for me, I just get up early and I'll listen to like a podcast, and I'll go just kind of be by myself. Even though there's people there, but you feel like you're kind of just not around the house and around all that kind of stuff that's in the house. It's just, I notice I don't have the strength I used to, but I don't really care so much about that. It's just to go and move around and just be somewhere else for a while. So I enjoy just kind of doing it, but in a different way than I used to do it. But I still very much enjoy just kind of getting out, and because I also find I can get a lot more done, because you both were talking about just reading the field, really. You can tell, Collette, you can tell when your husband needs something, you can just read the field.
yeah,
You can tell when something's going on. You read the field. You can see it. You can walk by house plants, and I'm like, oh gosh, I need to water the plants. I don't have to look at them. I can read. I can feel it. They're requiring something else.
yeah.
They need something. But when you talk about, I know I can get, when I'm doing like the chores around the house, I try to wait till the house is empty because I can get a lot more done when there's nobody here but me. And you quicker when there's no one in your field. You know what I mean? I can just get a lot of that stuff done a lot faster when I'm just kind of by myself, and I just kind of have that time to just spread out, you know, and just really, really start to spread out. And I know I've noticed since I've been here, I keep kind of changing the house to match more my frequency because I feel the need to kind of start to do that because I need more support. Because as we move into bigger roles to support others, we have to support ourselves. And the home, the way it was before, it wouldn't really support. It was okay for where I was a couple years ago, but now it's kind of, you know, so now we have to keep upgrading it and upgrading it and doing that type of stuff. And, you know, we kind of do it all ourselves because, you know, I mentioned, I think in something I did the other day, is when you have a lot of money to kind of farm stuff out. In our human consciousness, we would farm stuff out. You know, we wouldn't do it. We wouldn't go through the reality. We wouldn't go through the fear of that reality. We wouldn't go through doing something we didn't want to do. We just pay someone to do it for us. And there's a lot of that went on when I was in my human consciousness, where I would just, you know, I would just pay someone to do that. I don't want to go do that. I'll pay someone to do that. I don't want to go do that. And when I see people doing that now, I know I used to do the same thing. And now I'm like, I kind of get myself to at least do it once, go through it, or even do realities we don't want to do. You know, taking care of people when, yeah, maybe if I had more money, would I have hired people to do that and taking care of people? Maybe, but I wouldn't have worked through the programming I worked through by being here and doing it myself. And I think that's what kind of can come back and get in your human consciousness when you kind of try to avoid all the sticky spots you don't want to deal with. You just pay someone to do it that doesn't have the programming you have around doing it, then you don't work through it. So then your universe gives you another way to work through it, whether it be a health thing or a finance thing or whatever. Eventually you're going to work through it. Eventually you're going to get to that. It's going to be through a different means, you know, to get through it. But I think we are coming up close to our time, so I'll let each of you I know. I don't want to get too close because, you know, they don't mess on here. They don't shut you out. They don't even give you a warning.
We have like 10. Don't we have like 10 minutes?
We should have 10 minutes. That's why I'm getting into it's a long close. The long close, Brita. We're getting into the long close. We will start. I'm trying to think. I wrote some stuff down. If anything else that we can go ahead. You can really quick? Yeah, go ahead. We have 10 minutes.
So about the that's interesting about the like the hiring people to do things. You know, when I first moved here, I was doing I think we had a house cleaner, and then she ended up moving, and then we didn't get it. I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do all the cleaning. And it ended up we ended up getting another cleaner, and actually they're coming tomorrow, which is awesome. But it was like, I remember, I think for me, it was like I had almost like a, I felt I had this need that I needed to do it myself. And I was feeling like, because my parents are at home most of the time, mom is at least, and there's a lot of other things, projects and other things like outside and around that I'm also in charge of, and it was way too much to do for me. So it felt like the most empowering thing. And then, you know, speaking with my dad and deciding we're going to bring somebody in once a month, and then I do the cleaning on the other parts of the weeks and things like that. But it always feels so wonderful in here when she uses the holistic products and everything. But it was funny because I was feeling like I had to do it myself. And that felt like, it just felt like I was putting way too much on my plate for everything else kind of that, you know, kind of do here emotionally and mentally and such. So, yeah.
That's so funny, Brita, because I just yesterday ran into two ladies coming out of one of the neighbors' houses with mop buckets and vacuums. And I said, I said, could you come and take a look at my house? So I think that's going to create more space for me too. you know, if I have them come in once a month. And then, you know, here it comes, the ego. Oh, you're going to spend the money on that. You know, you shouldn't be doing that. And I'm like, no, I'm not listening. So, yeah, she came over and she looked at the house, and I think I'm going to do it too. You know, it'll create some space for me to do other things, you know, the time. And I just wanted to touch on what you said before about people going through it in the home and how, you know, we read the field. I think we're also like transcending, you know, lightening up the energy, you know. I find myself doing that often, making light of sometimes a difficult, heavy, you know, situation. I think we bring our light in there and we transform it, you know. So on a high note, I think we're doing that, you know. And there are days when we're not, when we're, you know, when we have no light and we're like, oh, let me just go in the other room and close the door, you know. But we
pretend like I'm not here. It was funny because I had someone clean my house for, gosh, because when I lived in Northern Virginia, I worked all the time. I had someone clean for probably like 18 years.
Wow.
And then for the past 8, I've done it myself. More so because I was here all the time, or wherever I was there all the time once I stopped working the traditional jobs. And having someone come in when you're there, it's not as convenient than when you're not there, right? And plus I had to do it myself. I think everything we have to at least do it ourselves at least a couple of times to see what it's like. And then I think we value it more. We understand someone who's doing it. We don't look at it as a menial task. Maybe we're like, oh, it's just a house cleaning. All right, it's a lot of work. You know, it's hard work. It's a lot of work, and I think it gives us an appreciation. It gets us to do it. It gives us an appreciation. You know, so I still clean this one, but I think I might eventually move toward, you know, getting someone to come in again, because I have now been house cleaning up for like 8 years as far as cleaning up my own space, and it's been a while, and I do start to feel like, boy, I'd had so much more time. But then again, sometimes I enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
So, and you know,
I used to put the headphones on, put the music up.
Yeah, just have fun. You know. So, but I do for a while. We do have to do it, and then we can get someone else to do it. You know, but at least try to do it. Like, I'm gonna try to seed the yard. I've never tried to seed a yard. I'm gonna try to do it and see how it goes. And I might be hiring someone in the fall to do it, but I'm going to at least try it. I have to go put a loft together in the bedroom, so I'm going to try it. It says it takes 2 hours, so it's probably take like 14. I'll check in about 14 hours. That's probably still be doing it. So yeah, we're getting into our time. So I did want to mention, Britta, you said you were going to work with animals. I've been doing a lot of experimenting with those holistic remedies for feral cat I've been taking care of, who had like some kind of eye trauma and leg wounds, and there's a lot of that I have given him that really has done well. So if you're interested in any of that type of stuff, you might already know, because I know you do a lot with plants, but I can tell you the ones I've used on cats that cleared up bacterial stuff, cleared up all that stuff, because I very rarely take them to the vet unless someone's got, you know, an active something. But anyway, I just want to throw that in there. So I guess we're out of time, guys, but thank you so much.
Is that information on the video you did?
No, I don't think so. Not specific. I'll send you an email and I'll tell you the ones I have used, because this little guy, he had his eye swollen shut, and then it was awful. You know, then he came back the next day with a bloody leg, and I'm like, dude, you're killing me over here. You're literally killing me. It's a slow death over here. I mean, you're killing me every day. But I just have given them, you know, a lot of different types of things, and some just work super well. So I don't know. I just thought I'd throw that out there. I'll send you an email about it and how I do it.
Good.
So, all right. So I'll let you two close out on your own, and I will not say anything else. So, Collette, you can go ahead and say your goodbyes, and then Britta, you can follow.
Bye. Thank you. I it thoroughly and look forward to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Love you all.
Love.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.